Good afternoon, Plum class. We are going to be thinking about how we take meaning from a text. So reading comprehension is taking meaning from a text. That's what reading comprehension means. It means understanding what the text is trying to tell us. So how can we do this? Well, there are several different strategies we use. They use the core reading skills that you've been working on, your inference, your skimming and your scanning skills, your knowledge of your vocabulary and synonyms, different ways of saying the same words. Okay? First thing you need to do is really understand what the text is saying to you. You've got to really think about the text. You've got to engage with it. You've got to make connections between that text and other texts that you've read, so you get the general idea of what might happen. Got to critically evaluate the text. That's a higher level skill. That's kind of thinking what's effective about it, what's not so effective about it, what's the author of the text done and why have they chosen to do that, what other options might they have had, how might that have changed the impact. You've got to look at clues on the page and use the knowledge that you've got in your head. That's particularly important when we're using inference, understanding the hidden meaning in a text. If you imagine that you had, I'll choose a colour quickly. If you imagine that you had an iceberg, this is my brilliant drawing, you ready for this? Whoa, there is one big iceberg, okay? But I probably shouldn't have done that in blue because I now need a blue for the water. Icebergs float in the water, don't they? So here's my water. Now, that massive bit of the iceberg we can see, those are the words. My goodness, this is difficult to draw with a pointer and a mouse. They're the words on the text, the words we see. And we can take some meaning from those words, but often in a text, as with an iceberg, you can only ever see the very top of the iceberg, about 10% of it. The rest of it is hidden under the water. And that is where the hidden meaning is in words in the books. Underneath the words, there is a whole load of other stuff that you can deduce and you can infer. And that is what the analogy of the iceberg is. The bit under the water is the bit of the hidden meaning in the text. Okay? So we are going to move on. And I've got a few examples of this for you. So, what happened to the turtle? The river was narrow. A beaver hit the log that a turtle was sitting on, and the log flipped over from the shock. The turtle was very surprised by the event. So what's happened to that turtle? Presumably, he's sitting on the log, and the log flipped over. He presumably went flying, so no wonder he's surprised about the event. Got to really engage with that text. Really got to look closely at the words. He's sitting on it. Very, very similar. I wonder what the difference is. The river was narrow. A beaver hit the log that a turtle was sitting beside, and the log flipped over from the shock. The turtle was very surprised by the event. There is one word that is different. The preposition beside. On the first one he was sitting on it, on the second one he's sitting beside it. Understanding and noticing the words used changes the meaning of what's happened. On this one, the frog hasn't been flipped off the log. He's been surprised by a log flipping over beside him, but he has not actually had an injury himself, whereas in the first one, he's probably got a bit hurt and has gone for a tumble himself. Paying close attention to the text and what it says really enhances your understanding of its meaning. Sleepy Tom was late for school again. What do we know about the person in this sentence? Well, I know he's called Tom. I know that he's sleepy. And I know that he's late for school. That word again is key as well, isn't it? I wonder what that's showing us. Makes me wonder why he was sleepy. Wondering is all about engaging with the text as well. Why was he sleepy? Are there any clues in there as to why he was sleepy? No, there wasn't. There aren't other. So that is a question that I'd be storing up in my head for later on in the story to try and find out. How do we know that he's often late for school? There's that key word, isn't it? That again. He is late for school again. Okay. Slightly longer text for us to look at this time. John had got up early to learn his spellings. He was very tired, and decided to take a break. That's not surprising, is it? You got up early, of course he's going to be tired. When he opened his eyes again, the first thing he noticed was the clock on the chair. It was an hour later and nearly time for school. He picked up his 2 books and put them in a bag. He started pedalling to school as fast as he could. However, John ran over some broken bottles and had to walk the rest of the way. By the time he had crossed the bridge and arrived at class, the test was over. Poor John. Hard time for John, isn't it? He gets up early to try and catch up on his work, although maybe he should have done that the night before. He falls asleep. He rushes to get to school. He runs over some broken glass, and he ends up missing the test anyway, but his teacher was cross with him. Or maybe he was understanding, a nice teacher, not like me. Got some questions for you. Series from the text. What was John trying to learn? Well, it tells us somewhere near the beginning that he was trying to learn his spellings. How many books did he pick up? These are retrieval questions. These answers are there. This is like the top of that iceberg, the bit you can see in the words. Okay, how many books did he pick up? I'm scanning. And I found 2. I found a number. I was scanning for a number. 2 books. Okay. Next question. How did John travel to school? Now that isn't as easy, is it? It doesn't tell me exactly. It doesn't use the word. So I have to infer. So this is a bit that's hidden beneath the surface of the water. The clue is he started pedaling to school. Pedaling. I suppose he could be on a pedalo on those, like the great big swans on the lake. That doesn't seem realistic though, does it? It's not in context. So using my knowledge of what's likely to mean, using the clues in the text, I have deduced that he is probably going to school on his bike. That fits with running over some broken bottles later on as well, doesn't it? So we're using the clues in the text to get beneath the surface of the water of our iceberg and understand something going on. What did John do when he decided to take a break? Oh, now, unusually for these questions, that's skipped, hasn't it? Because he took the break right back at the beginning. Got up early, he was very tired and decided to take a break. Again, is that a retrieval question? Is that an inference question? The answer's not directly there, is it? We have to understand from our knowledge what this part means. When he opened his eyes again. It doesn't say, I know, or I'm deducing, that he fell asleep, but it doesn't tell me that. It's giving me a clue. Okay, it is over to you. I have got for you a diary entry. Okay, it is, if you're watching this Plum class and you're watching this, it is uploaded on your Teams, ready for to go. There are 2 different versions of it. your names are on the version I'd like you to give a go. As usual, you can either print it and write it and bring it to school next time you come in, or what's probably easiest is to type it straight in and just upload it or email it to me ready for marking. Okay. You can, or can you, answer the questions about it. Remember to punctuate your work. So there's a set of questions, some inference, some retrieval. I want you to give a go at. It's all about taking meaning from a text, understanding what text is all about. I am going to read a copy of the diary entry. There's two marginally different versions. This is one of them. If it is helpful for you to have it read out to you, then listen on and read it. If not, pause it, turn off the video, and get started. Your choice. Dear Diary, sorry that I haven't written for a while. I've been busy training Armitage, my rat, to dance. Sadly, I have had an awful day today. This morning, I walked to school because my dad still has not got his car fixed. When I was walking out of the flats, I felt a huge flobbit of flob on my head. Can you guess who it was? Tina Trots, of course. I thought this would stop once I got to big school. Later that day, I'm noticing a change in paragraph. Just remembering our tip-top. Time, place, person, subject or topic. Changing time later that day. That's why he's changed paragraph. Perfect. Sorry. Can never forget your paragraphs. Tina Trots, of course. I thought it would stop once I got to big school. Like the use of ellipses as well there. That looks good. Later that day, I was stood in the lunch queue when Tina's friend, Sally, extra information, use brackets, tripped me up in the line. I fell right onto my tray of food. I was so embarrassed. It took so long to get the stain out in the toilets. Eventually, the stain came off. Do you know what? I don't like that. It took so long to get the stain out of in the toilets. Eventually, the stain came off. Do we need to identify stain twice? That diary entry could have said it took ages for it to come off. Maybe. It's a bit repetitive saying it twice. Anyway, finally, so changing time again, isn't it? So changing paragraph, and you've got a comma there as well for the front of the verbal. Finally, it was home time. Tina Trots and her gang of witches followed me all the way home, calling me lots of horrible names. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I ran the rest of the way home. I'm not at school tomorrow, so I think it will be a better day. Zoe, the person who wrote it. I am going to read it once more for you, and I'm not going to do all my random teacher talk in the middle of it, so you just get the flow of the text, okay? Dear Diary, sorry that I haven't written it I'll start again. Dear Diary, sorry I haven't wrote in a while. I've been busy training Armitage, my rat, to dance. Sadly, I have had an awful day today. This morning I walked to school because my dad still has not got his car fixed. When I was walking out of the flats, I felt a huge flobbit of flob on my head. Can you guess who it was? Tina Trots, of course. I thought this would stop once I got to big school. Later that day, I was stood in the lunch queue when Tina's friend Sally tripped me up in the line. I fell right onto my tray of food. I was so embarrassed. It took so long to get the stain out in the toilets. Eventually, the stain came off. Finally, it was home time. Tina Trots and a gang of witches followed me all the way home, calling me lots of horrible names. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I ran the rest of the way home. I'm not at school tomorrow, so I think it will be a better day. Okay, quick recap for you. You got your text there. You can listen to it as many times as you need to. You can replay it, rewind and replay, rewind and replay, as many as you want, to be able to get the answers to your comprehension questions, which are uploaded on Teams Plum Class. If anyone else is watching, hi. Take care and have a good session. Remember to contact me, email if you need any support.